When you're looking at a high-end drone, the first question that usually pops up is, will this actually do what I need, or am I just paying for a glossy spec sheet? I get that hesitation a lot, especially when the price tag pushes you into, maybe I should wait for a sale. In this review, I'm going to walk through what using the Autel Robotics EVO 2 PROV3 feels like day to day, where the money is really going, and which kind of pilot should walk away now versus who will get the most out of every penny. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. Let's start with the basics of getting it off the ground. The EVO 2 PROV3 comes in a box that feels more like a small toolbox than a consumer gadget. There's the drone, a new generation smart controller with a built-in 5-inch display, spare propellers, a charging hub, and a couple of quick start guides. The first thing most new owners notice is the weight, just under 2.5 kilograms. It's light enough to fit in most airline carry-ons, but heavy enough that you'll notice the solid feel when you lift it. Setting it up takes about 10 minutes if you follow the steps. Attach the propellers, power up the controller, connect to the Skylink 2.0 transmission, and run the calibration screen. The process is straightforward, and the app walks you through the local no-fly zones, which is a nice safety net if you're not familiar with the regulations in your area. Now, why does that matter? In real life, the setup time and the learning curve translate into how often you'll actually fly. I've been testing it on 3 different types of days: a quick weekend outing to a local park, a longer sunrise shoot over a lake, and a more demanding day of tracking moving subjects like cyclists on a trail. In each scenario, the EVO 2 PROV3 behaved consistently. The Omnidirectional obstacle avoidance system 6 forward, backward, and side sensors kept the drone from bumping into tree branches when I was focused on framing a shot. I didn't have to hover for a full minute to let the sensors calibrate. They seemed ready right after power-up. That reliability is the kind of hidden value you don't see on the spec sheet, but it saves you from a crash that would cost you more than the purchase price. The star of the show is the 1-inch CMOS sensor paired with Autel's new Moonlight Algorithm 2.0 and a 12-bit image pipeline. In plain language, that means you get a lot more tonal detail in both bright skies and low-light situations. I tested this by shooting a sunset over the water and then switching to a nighttime cityscape with streetlights. In the sunset clips, the HDR processing kept the horizon from blowing out while preserving the texture in the foreground sand. At night, the sensor managed to capture street lamp halos without turning the rest of the frame into a black void, something many drones in this price range still struggle with. The 6K video mode is impressive, but you'll notice the file sizes balloon quickly, about 600 megabytes for a minute of raw footage. That's a practical consideration if you plan to shoot a lot and have limited storage. If you're a content creator who needs hyper-lapse footage, the built-in hyper-lapse mode works without any extra software. I set it to a 2-second interval and let the drone circle a small hill. The resulting 6K hyperlapse was smooth, and the stitching of the frames didn't show any wobble, even though the drone was battling a light breeze. For someone who wants to produce cinematic travel reels, that feature alone can shave hours off post-production. However, there are trade-offs that become clear after a few flights. The smart controller's 5-inch screen is bright enough for sunny days, but you'll still want a pair of ND filters for the lens if you're chasing a flat-looked cinematic look. The controller also adds bulk if you're used to folding a tiny smartphone-based controller into a pocket. This feels like carrying a small tablet. Battery life is another point to weigh. Autel advertises about 40 minutes of flight time, and in my controlled tests, I got roughly 38 minutes on a brand new pack with moderate throttle use. In real-world windy conditions, that number can dip to the high 20s, which is typical for a drone of this size, but something to keep in mind if you need extended endurance for mapping or inspections. Who should consider buying the EVO 2 PROV3? If you're a filmmaker or a serious hobbyist who values high-resolution stills and video, especially in challenging light, this drone gives you a sensor that rivals entry-level cinema cameras. The obstacle avoidance and reliable transmission also make it a solid choice for outdoor work where you can't afford to lose the unit to a crash. It's also a good fit for people who want an all-in-one package controller, app, and accessories without having to buy a separate gimbal or transmission system. Who might skip it? If you're primarily after a cheap, pocket-sized drone for casual aerial selfies, the EVO2 PROV3 is overkill. The price point, the size of the controller, and the